All right, so I want to bring up this brother right here. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. Him and I was able to connect down in Baltimore, Maryland. I believe we met in North Carolina years ago. I know I met his father years ago, but we met years ago. Coming back together, two is a number of confirmations. Sometimes two or three. Sometimes you need to see somebody twice or three times for it to finally click. We was able to click. We was able to talk about things about the Most High, and we was able to talk about things in the business sector, and that's what we do here with Wisdom Wealth. So this man, he has an extensive portfolio. He has a wealth of knowledge, and I'm going to let him be able to introduce more about himself. I don't want to do his introduction any injustice, so I'm going to turn it over to my brother from another mother down there in North Carolina, James Byers. The floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. I'm going to have to take you on the road, let you introduce me. Make me feel good about myself, man. Make me feel good about myself. Man, I appreciate this platform. I appreciate what you're doing. Even before we got an opportunity to reconnect and get to know each other, I've seen that flyer. I've seen that logo. And I was just like, man, I love that. I love that. Because these are the things that we need to be talking about. And sometimes, we just get so, as believers, those of us who understand and know that we rely upon a greater power, sometimes we take advantage of that and we let things that we need to be attending to go because God will make a way. But we have to be good stewards in every area of our life. So this platform, this initiative, may the Most High bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you and give you his favor in all aspects of this endeavor, because it is needed, it is warranted. And as I get into what I'm going to talk about, I'll talk a lot about our need to get down the learning curve. And so these are conversations, I call them wealthy conversations, that I'll be part of our discussion today. We just need to learn more about how this stuff works. All right, so I'll start just by introducing myself, telling you a little bit about me. Again, I am James Byers the second. I am a certified financial planner and have been operating in financial services for the last 22 and a half years. In June, it will make 23 years. I entered this space through banking in 2003. And so I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of different markets. I've seen a lot of different movements of, whether it's political powers or whether it is things that are happening within all areas of commerce and different industries. But my main thing when I started, to give you again a little bit about me, I started in the bank, and with that, I saw so much, and I saw a lot of people. I was in a side of Greensboro that is affluent, and so I got to see all of how other people handle money and have conversations around money, and other communities how they address their wealth. And it just opened my eyes. And from that day forward, I knew that I wanted to do this at a level where I could disseminate this information, get as much as I could, and then disseminate this to my people wherever I could. But I'm a huge proponent of where it's not just okay to be the mom and pop kind of mentality. Like, we have to get the spirit of excellence, and we have to do things in excellence. And if you have a profession, be a professional. Whatever you're doing, be a professional. Learn your craft and do it well, so that when someone comes to you, they can rely upon your expertise. And it's not, I've had these conversations with people, and trust me, it's very often the people that look like me that I sometimes have the biggest challenge with, because it's like, well, how you know this stuff? Well, I have degrees in accounting. I have a master's degree in financial services, MBA, with a concentration in financial services. And I've done it for 20 something years. And so it makes sense. But a lot of times we are so used to dealing with people who have been bootlegging. We got to get out of that. And so I love this. What I've seen here, I've only been on a couple of sessions, and it's shown. I can see that you have a level of professionalism that is an expectation. And I appreciate that, because then people can trust you and we can help each other. And you can help each other and rely upon that help. And so I'm gonna get off that soapbox, because that's really what that is. So kind of getting into well, let me tell you a little bit about me personally. My wife is actually on here, and many of our congregation I see is on here as well. So I appreciate y'all tuning in as well. Here's the thing. So when I started in financial services, I got started. I graduated like the first weekend in May. I got married the first weekend in June, and I started my career at Wachovia Bank the second week in June. So after we came back from the cruise, we got back on a Saturday or Sunday, and Monday I had to be in Charlotte. So I've been married to my wife, and I've been married to this career for 22, 23 years. We'll just say 23, because it's just a few months. We have two wonderful children. I have a son who is now a sophomore at North Carolina A&T, where both me and my wife graduated from undergrad. And we have a daughter who is a sophomore in high school. And so beautiful congregation, beautiful family here in North Carolina. And so just excited to be here. And I am going to jump right in. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully everybody can see what I see. And we can work our way through this thing. Can y'all see that? Wealthy Conversations. The future is now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's roll with it. So, as I said, it is so important for us to have conversations, talk about stuff, exposure. So often, y'all, we don't talk about these things in our households with our families. A lot of times the older generation is like, nah, that's my business. You a kid, stay in a child's place. Meanwhile, across town, little Johnny is being sat down and walked through the checkbook, and so it makes a difference, because your understanding starts at a younger age. So we got some learning to do. We got to get down the learning curve. And so as quick as we can, we got to come proficient at handling our money. So my firm is Byers Wealth Strategies, LLC. I've been in the industry 23 years, but I went independent in 2017. So that is coming up. I guess that's more like 6 years plus 3. So 9 years. So it'll be 9 years in toward the end of this year that I went independent. So I'm not beholden to any firm or any insurance company. I'm independent wealth advisor. I manage money. I manage retirement plans. I manage assets for people preparing for retirement or planning for college. I sit down and go through and strategize. The planning part is so important on different things, such as preparing, making sure you have enough saved up, understanding markets and investing and working that muscle. We also help people in areas of insurance, making sure that you have proper coverage and those sorts of things. And I have clients all over the United States, in several different states, I'll say. That middle part, I don't know nobody in the middle part. So I got some folks on the East Coast, and I got some folks out on the West Coast as well. And so I'm gonna go to the next slide here. Let me make sure that I am Doing the right thing on my side here. Okay. There is my next button. All right. So I want to start with this phrase. Is by Albert Einstein. It says, no problem can be solved with the same level of consciousness that created it. And so, one of the issues that we have within our community is that we are oblivious to the things and the tools that are out there in the market. And when we know about them, a lot of times we're not sure how they work. And so there's an absence of consciousness when it comes to finances and managing finances and building wealth. And so it is so important. And I want to throw in a scripture right here. And it comes from Proverbs chapter 13, verse 22. And it says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So I'm going to say that part again. I'm going to say it again. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. And so understanding that we can't approach things the way we've always approached it, because that's the same level of consciousness that got us where we are. And if we use that, we're not going to grow anywhere. We're not going anywhere. And so we've got to elevate our level of consciousness if we want to solve this wealth gap, if we want to solve the problem that we have with being in good relationship with our money. And this proverb right here, it didn't say that he just don't leave his family debt. It didn't say that he left just enough to bury him. It didn't say that he died and the bills were paid. It said he leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That is generational wealth. That is looking out for the next generation. So often we start at zero and we start over. And our counterparts very often, by the time they are at milestone ages, college has already been taken care of. The wedding for someone, helping paying for weddings already taken care of. Helping with down payment on first house is already taken care of. These things are thought of. And it's not that you're waiting on mom or dad to pass you something down, but it's that grandma and grandpa are passing down. Great grandma and grandpa are passing down. And that's creating generational wealth. But it takes a different level of consciousness, because somebody has to be a little less selfish. Somebody has to say, it's not just about what I'm doing. It's not just about what I'm making, but it's also about the leg up that I'm giving my children and the advantage that I'm making way for my grandchildren. And if we did that, we would find ourselves with a much better relationship with money. We have very, very often a strained relationship with money, and we got to figure out how to fix it. So here's kind of what I like to call this. Oh, sorry, I clicked twice there. Let me go back. Call this balancing buckets, building a solid financial strategy. And I'm gonna go ahead and forewarn you guys. I'm gonna go through this quickly because I want you to see everything. I am an open book. So at the end for questions, I'm all for it. If we need to follow up with a one-on-one, I'm all for it. If you want to this is being recorded, screenshots, so you can get these and go back and look at it. I'm all for it. And so let me move on to the next here. Time is literally money, y'all. Time is literally money. And what do I mean by that? I have we'll say the point of view of a person who's not old enough to retire, but have been retiring and have seen retirement for the last 22 years. And so every client that I see who's 70 is allowing me to learn something. And it's allowing me to learn something about the future. And so in that, when I talk to them, You know what they say? Man, I wish I would have got started earlier. And so what does that translate to me? Go find somebody younger and tell them, get started now. And that's the wisdom in it. So time is money. And the something else that actually Albert Einstein says is that the idea of compounding interest is the seventh wonder of the world. And so the eighth wonder of the world. And so with that, that's basically understanding that time and compounding interest, it compounds in such a way that if you start early enough, you will allow yourself to accumulate a lot because of the compounding, because you have time and you can put a lot less toward it. Now, if you wait, the longer you wait, the more time you waste, the more money you waste. And one of the reasons that a lot of people end up wasting time is because when you start talking about money, you feel lost or confused, unsure, perplexed, bewildered. Why? Because it's a lot of stuff. And sometimes when we don't understand stuff, we shy away from it. Sometimes when we don't have the full grasp of something, we would just rather move on to something that we know well and are already good at. But money is one of those things where it touches every aspect of your life. You gotta have these conversations. You gotta understand how your money works. And so we want to get past these stages of confusion because we'll just bury our head. And very often it comes down to this. If you deem something as important, you'll find a way. And you'll push past that uncomfort. You'll push past, not knowing. You'll find a way. But if it's not that important to you, if it's not a priority for you, then you'll find an excuse. And I like to add to this phrase, and I'll say, and most times, any excuse will do. Most times, any excuse will do. And so we have to push past that so that we can attain what we are looking to attain. And so now I'm going to go into the meat of the discussion. And again, this is gonna go a little quick, but I want to make sure that we're hitting everything. And so I like to formulate the financial planning process into it's a roadmap, right? And it's a way to get from one place to another. It's like a GPS. The first thing your GPS is going to figure out is where you are. Once you tell it where you want to go, it can now map a way there. But the thing there is that it has to look ahead and plan ahead to give you a good path to where you're going. The thinking ahead part. And so these 4 questions are a way of thinking ahead when it comes to any financial goal that you are placing for yourself. Think ahead with these 4 questions. Okay. So the first question is, how much money do I need? And so if you can answer how much money I need, that means that you've done a good job with assessing the situation. And that sometimes is where you have to either rely on a professional or rely on someone, something online or some system sometimes that can help you formulate what that is. How much do I need? So the goal could be for retirement. How much money do I need? That could be for buying a new car. How much money do I need? It could be for buying a new house. How much money do I need? Starting a business. How much money do I need? All right. Next question is that you want to be able to answer, when do I need it? Okay. Now, these two together are hand in hand because now you know how much you need and you know how much time you have to get it. Right. And so when you need it is very important. You're retiring. Does that mean in 30 years? Or does that mean in 5 or 6 years? You're buying a new house. Does that mean in the next couple of years? Or does that mean when this mortgage is paid off in 20 or 30 years? Whatever it is allowing you to put some math around achieving that goal. All right. The next one is, where do I take it from? Now, this question is very, very important. And I want to use an analogy here. If you're building a fence and you are also planting trees in your yard, the worst place to plant that little tree that's going to grow is right next to your fence line, because the future will let you know that that's not a good place for it to be, because it's going to do what? It's going to grow right where it is. So you reap from where you sow. You reap from where you sow. So if you sow in the wrong place, you're going to reap from the wrong place. And so you have to think ahead to know. It's important to know how much I need. It's important to know when I need it. But now in putting it away, it's important to know where I should be taking it from, because I'm going to start putting it in the right place. And if you put it in the wrong place, then the next question is what gets you, which is, what are the tax consequences? So when we think ahead, we can put things in the right places so that the tax consequences are not detrimental. When we put them in the wrong places, then we end up with paying more taxes than we need to. And we pay what we need. We don't pay no more. And avoiding tax is illegal and it gets you put in jail. Or evasion, let me say, evading taxes is illegal. But you can minimize. You absolutely can minimize. And the laws are written by people who want to minimize. So they're there. And they're always going to be there, because those people are always going to be in charge and making the rules. So take advantage of it. Learn how it works. Learn how it works to your advantage. Understand the tax consequences. All right. So that then leads us into this next portion here. This is liquidity buckets. What is liquidity? Access to capital. My ability to have money when I need it, where I need it, at the amount that I need, and for the reasons that I need, with as little tax consequences as possible. So liquidity buckets. Liquidity buckets, we're going to start with looking at the first bucket as our immediate bucket. Like, I need it now. I need to spend this money now. What do I do in this bucket? Well, I pay my mortgage or my rent, pay my bills. I'm going to eat. I'm going to have fun. This is my everyday life, right? So this is just kind of what you need to survive. Bucket 2 is my intermediate bucket. So I don't necessarily need it now, but I will need it later. And that later, what am I doing? I could be looking down the road where I need to purchase a new car or a new home, or sending a child to school, or I'm going back and furthering my education. I want to plan a nice vacation. I'm going to be like Joseph said, he's going to go out of the country a couple times a year, thinking ahead, planning ahead. What are these? These I like to call planned major purchases. And so I'm thinking down the road a bit, and I can use this to get where I want to go in the right amount of time. Somewhere in between these two buckets is life, because life happens. You have to be prepared when an emergency comes up. So being prepared most times is bucket 1 when it happens. But usually we don't live in an emergency emergency perspective. We usually are non-emergent. So if you're properly prepared, it's bucket 2, waiting for the emergency if and when it happens. The third bucket is my long-term bucket. And I don't want you to think about this just as in a long time from now, but for a long time as well. For a long time. What do I mean by for a long time? Well, money in, money out, cash flow, cash flow. That is how I fund all the other buckets. And so in order for me to live, I have to have income, cash flow. In order for me to, it costs to be born, it costs to live, and it costs to die. So our entire life, there has to be cash flow, right? Money in and money out. As we move to the next bucket, that's my legacy and estate bucket. That's my Proverbs 13:22 bucket. Because now this is not about me. I never need it. It's not about me. It's about planning for who depends upon me or who I want to be a blessing to in my passing. And so this bucket crosses a couple of different things. One is it's beyond my days. I'm not here. I passed away, and that's it. But then there's another aspect of it beyond my control. What do I mean by that? It's not that I'm dead, but I can't make my own decisions. I can't do for myself. And so that is beyond my capacity. And we're all working toward that at some point. There are many people, especially with modern day medicine, many people live a great long time, but at some point, their cognitive deterioration begins to set in and they can't make decisions for themselves, or physically they can't move and do things for themselves. And so if they're now considered incompetent and unable to make those decisions, the hope is that they've already let somebody know what they want. That is so important. And so now let's look at it this way. These are my jobs, everything that we just discussed. These are the jobs that we need to accomplish. These, now what we're going to go through are the tools, the financial instruments that are available to accomplish those goals. This is where I want you to make sure that you're paying attention and locking in, because most people that I sit with and talk to don't have a strong understanding of how financial instruments work and what they're supposed to be used for. So those first four buckets or first four questions that we talked about, most people have things all out of whack, because it's like you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna save up my money and I'm gonna start me a business. And so I'm ramping up my 401k pre-tax contributions. Wrong place. Because as soon as you touch that money, now you're getting taxed and penalized. And so you have to understand how this stuff works in advance. And so we'll kind of flow through the tops because we've already gone through those. So rent, mortgage, fund money, that's my everyday stuff, right? Bucket one. Well, how do we fund bucket one? We fund bucket one with cash, with a checking account, with a savings account, with money market accounts. Here's what I encourage people to stay away from: trying to supplement bucket one and really bucket three with credit cards. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because if you do that, I promise you, you won't make enough in interest to make up for the amount of interest that you're paying the credit card company. Every time I sit with somebody and we go through their stuff, we're looking at credit card debt. I already know it. Most of the time they have no idea. And I'm like, what's the rate? I always ask them, what's the rate on that? Oh, I don't know. I think, I don't know, like maybe like 10, 11. No, it's probably 25, maybe 28. They pull their statement up and they're like, 29%. I didn't know that. You cannot supplement bucket one, cash, by using credit card. It costs too much. I promise you, it costs too much. And so now moving into bucket two, I'll put these back up there to remind you these are planned major purchases. How do we look ahead? Well, you can put money into a CD or stocks, bonds, mutual funds, unit investment trusts, exchange trade funds. These are all items that are liquid, but they're not sitting in the bank earning a little of nothing, right? So a CD earns a little bit more than your checking, your savings, and your money markets. Your bonds are going to earn a little bit more than your CDs. Your stocks and mutual funds and unit investment trusts, exchange trade funds, all of those things are now in the market, and you can get some return on that goes far beyond what you would get at 0.10 in your savings account, or if you're doing really good, 1%. And so these are things that you can put money into, but you can still get to them, right? You have a brokerage account, you got some Apple stock and some Tesla, or whatever you got in there, and something comes up and you need to sell it, you can sell it. It's accessible. All right. So it's still there. That's why I got that in the intermediate bucket. Now let's move on to bucket 3. That's my cash flow, money in, money out. Well, at this point, you are the biggest tool in this box, right? Because you go to work and you work or you run your business or whatever it is that you do to create cash flow, right? That money that's coming in, and then you pay your bills, you plan your vacations, you invest, all of that stuff then comes from bucket 3. Now, you go to work for money, but at some point, you're not going to go to work for money. Money is going to go to work for you. So now how do we transition? We do it the same way you made the money, a little bit over time, right? And so in comes a very key piece. So I rely on scripture for wisdom and understanding. And so I want to pause here and give a little quick story. Think about what happened with Joseph. And so think about what happened with him. So he went and he learned a skill in a place that was not desirable, right? He learned a skill while being a slave, while being a prisoner, but he learned that skill, management. He learned that skill and how to properly allocate resources. And that then got him to be the second man in control of all of Egypt during the time leading up to the famine. And now understand how he did that. Joseph said, everybody put away. But Joseph knew everybody wasn't going to put away. So he says, in addition to you putting away, everything that you make, you are now, we put a tax out that we collect 20%. So if you make $100, bring $20 to the king. And what is he doing? He's doing it with grain, and he's doing it with different things that can produce a harvest. And he does that for those 7 years of plenty. And when the famine kicks in, people start using their stuff, right? And if you go into some other readings like the book of Jasher, it actually talks very specifically about how they ran out of money. And they just ran out. They ran out of grain. They ran out of being able to trade and do commerce with each other. They couldn't barter, and they didn't have anything to plant. So they had to go to Joseph. And he was like, the king was like, well, didn't they put away? And they're like, well, yeah, we did, but we spent it all. It's gone. Joseph was like, yeah, I got you. I knew that was going to happen. Go to the coffers. And so, again, while money is being made, you're putting away. You don't wait till you get to the point that you need it to start putting it away. So bucket 3 is that you have to look at every dollar you make as some of this goes into your future. You got to do that Joseph plan. Some of this got to go into your future, because if it doesn't go into your future, you're spending every dollar right now, whether you realize it or not. Whether you realize it or not, if you're not investing in bucket 3, you're spending every dollar. A warning to my business owners. Running a business is the easiest way to put every dollar back into the same place that one day may be worth nothing. That's a hard truth, but you got to hear it. And I have witnessed it enough to warn anybody that I know that runs a business, put some away. Business is not always going to be booming. And so if you're always reinvesting, that means what that looks like is, man, I done made $300,000 this year, and 100,000 of it I could take and sit on the mattress and won't make no difference to my business. But what I'm gonna do is take that $100,000 and I'm gonna go buy more inventory. Or I'm gonna take that $100,000 and I'm gonna put it back into the business. And now next year I made $400,000, so it must be working. So I'm gonna keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that. Meanwhile, you're not putting anything away. Guess what's gonna happen? One day you go from making that $500,000 to making the 250, and it hits you hard, and you haven't prepared. And now at some point, a slippery slope becomes an avalanche downhill, and a business that you worked very hard for is now not profitable anymore. Well, you're forgetting about something. All the money that you poured in has gone right down with it. And if you've never put anything aside, if you've never pulled anything out of the business, but you've plowed everything back into it, you don't have a lot to work with beyond that. Man, I'm looking at the time and I gotta press forward. I'm gonna press the fast forward button. So let me get off that. But I really pray that everybody hears that, because I've seen it happen way too many times. So what do we invest in slowly over time? Bucket 3, Social Security, pensions, 401ks, 457s, 403bs. You might have some rental property, a business that is perpetual or can actually pay you in perpetuity. 7702 plans, Roth IRAs, all things that you can put money into a little bit over time. And then when you get to retirement, you take it out a little bit over time. And I'm gonna hit on this last bucket. That is beyond my days of my control, my legacy and estate planning bucket. And it's a marriage between legal documents and financial documents. Legal documents such as wills, trusts, durable power of attorneys, medical directives, things like that. You don't have to be rich to have a will. You don't have to be rich to have a trust. You just got to want control. That's it. And so a will is probated. You don't want a whole bunch of stuff running through your will. Write who the beneficiary is on anything monetary. A will should be a catch at the end of everything that's already decided where it's going. All right. But how do you fund a will? How do you fund a trust? With life insurance. It's literally buying dollars with pennies. It's tax-free. The death benefit. I can leave my kids $5 million and they will pay not a single dollar on the tax as a tax on that gift or that legacy. Most efficient way to fund a durable power of attorney, just having disability insurance. Because if you need to enact a durable power of attorney, then that means that somebody's having to act on your behalf. More than likely, if that's happening, you also can't work. So if you're not already retired, you need to make sure leading up to retirement that disability is covered if you don't have proper assets to pay your bills if you can't go to work. Medical directives, that goes into the area of chronic illness care and long-term care, if that would ever come up. Yeah. And so that is, you can't take care of yourself. You can't do activities of daily living. And so you need some help. Having that insurance there can help make sure that it's paid for, it's covered. Because y'all, if you got more than $2,000, if you're worth more than $2,000, Medicaid is not an option. They want you to spend down everything you're worth, be worth $2,000 before they will help. And Medicare does not cover long-term care. Your health insurance does not cover long-term care. Okay. UL policies worth the hype. Absolutely. It depends on the type of UL policy. All policies are not created equally. But depending on the type of policy, UL policies are great, but they can also be horrible because they are customizable. So somebody can customize them horribly or somebody can customize them beautifully. So it really depends. Now, closing here, if I look at these buckets going from bucket 4 down to bucket 1, I increase liquidity. I can get to this money easier, quicker, faster, with less encumbrances, with less penalties. All right. Bucket 4 and 3 is long-term. Don't touch it. Let it do what it's supposed to do. Bucket 1 and 2, you need to get to it. That's what it's for. But as I go up, I go from bucket 1 to 4, I increase tax efficiency. Tax efficiency is important because let's say for a Roth IRA, you put money into a Roth IRA and whatever it grows to, you pay taxes on what you put in. If you got a long time and you invest $10,000 that grows to $100,000, you now have gotten 90 grand that you'll never have to pay taxes on. So 7702 and Roth IRA are two of the most powerful tools that we have in our tax system. Those two things. So if I can, the free advice, I'm going to give this free advice. If you can max out a Roth every year, do it. And the second you get to the max, find some other way. If you're a business owner, your max is much higher. So if you're an individual, your 401k at work, you have access to that. That's usually a pretty high max as well, somewhere around $23,000, $24,000 for this year. I'm gonna pause there.